from raisingarrows.net here, and today we are talking about 2022 goals for your homeschool. This is kind of a planning session for the second semester of this school year. Now for us, we homeschool year round, so there isn't a real second semester, but I always find myself kind of thinking ahead to the full year, even though for a lot of people, you stop in May and pick up again in August or September. For us, we homeschool all the way through because we homeschool year round 4 days a week. And so for me, it's kind of done in year swaths. However, I do not plan goals. I do not do a big yearly plan. I do not have goals for myself that I'm going to, step by step, ABC through XYZ kind of to accomplish these goals that I have for myself and my kids in our homeschool. Instead, what I do is I'm looking forward to what needs to be accomplished in the next several years, and I start taking steps toward those things. But I'm not making a full-blown goal worksheet. I'm not thinking through the various steps I need to take, because inevitably, if I start to make some sort of big long-range goal and all these steps that go with it, and I'm going to do, this laundry list of things, inevitably something is going to happen and those things are going to change and I'm going to have to adapt with them. And rather than set myself up for what I feel like would be ultimate failure, because I like to check the things off the list, I just don't make a list. So instead of having this big planning session, this big goal sheet that I'm going to work on throughout the year, I instead look to where I'm going and then I get started headed that direction. And I kind of think through, what do I need to do now to start heading that direction? And then a little while down the road, I will do this again. I will check and see if I'm still on track, and I will check and see if I need to course correct or if I need to add something in, change something. And I am doing this probably every few months, just looking at our homeschool as a whole and making sure that it is still on track with the things that I believe to be something that needs to be a part of our homeschool and the way that our homeschool needs to run. And so I do like the word of the year concept. A couple of years ago, it was share for me. Last year, it was consistency. This year, I don't have one yet, but I do like that concept just as kind of an overarching guiding concept. But I do not make goals for my life, for my homeschool, for my blog, for my YouTube channel. I just don't. And maybe that's what's holding me back in all these areas. But I will say that I'm not stressed and overwhelmed very often at all, because I'm not making these huge goals. I'm taking bite-sized pieces of the next step, the next thing that needs to be done. Elizabeth Elliot is famous for saying, do the next thing. And that is what I feel like I live by, because my life has been such that I have a lot of extenuating circumstances and I have to just do the next thing. I can't be looking too far in the future. I have to just do the next thing. And I think James speaks to that in the Bible, where it talks about, not having the arrogance to say that we're going to be doing this, this, and this come next year, come tomorrow, or whatever. We have to be humble enough to realize that things change constantly. God is bringing new paths into our lives, and new people and new circumstances, and we have to adjust and adapt. And we cannot let our goals and these numbered lists trip us up and make us feel bitter and resentful toward the people and things that have changed our direction, because we need to be prepared to say that this new direction is my direction. And so for me, I don't make these big goals because I want to be ready at a moment's notice to change directions. So instead, I am thinking forward to this 2022 homeschool year. Like I said, we homeschool all year long, so I'm taking it kind of in a broad overview from January to December. You may want to just take, January to May or June, however long. And you may want to look forward a little bit to what the fall semester is going to look like for you when everybody switches over to the next grade level. But for us, I'm kind of looking at it as a whole. I will kind of break down for you the ages of my kids, where they're kind of at, and then I'll come back and tell you the goals that I have for each of them, and then the goals that I have for our homeschool at large. Okay, so starting at the top, I have 7 kids at home. All 7 are in school. My oldest, who is currently in the house, she is a junior, and she is finishing up electives, things that she is interested in, and things that she's not interested in. Her goal right now is to blow through those electives, so all she has left is what we do during morning time, which is our history through Tapestry of Grace, geography is through them, the literature selections are through them, and then she will have a research paper due sometime in her senior year. She will have to do one more research paper. She's done a couple of essays, and then a research paper is just an expanded essay with your annotations. So we're going to be doing that in her senior year, but she has all of her electives out of the way, and she only has a few things left. Like, she needs to finish up biology, and then she's going to do astronomy. She finished up geometry, and she is she is doing a consumer math class that she's not too far from finishing. We decided to use Dave Ramsey's Foundations, I believe is the name of it. It's a high school program, and that's her last math class, which is more of a economics consumer math idea, but I think it's very, very important for that to be one of their math classes. And then let's see, what else does she have? I guess I'll show you real quick how I do this. I do have a podcast, I think, and I have a post on how we figure out graduation requirements. And what I do is I put those requirements on an index card like this, front and back, and I keep these at my desk. I have one for both of my high schoolers, and I'm writing out all of the graduation requirements that I have for them. I am loosely basing them on our state's graduation requirements. However, our state does not require all the things I require. So I have added in things as well. Our state doesn't require a foreign language. I do. I'm trying to think. Our state doesn't require like economics, and I do. And so, it's kind of loosely based, and I'm just writing them here. And then as they do them, I'm check marking them off. I have a space for their electives at the bottom on the back, and marking those off as we go as well. So to give you an idea, she has English 1 and 2. She's finishing up English 3. She'll have 4. She's had Algebra 1, Geometry. She's finishing up Consumer Math, a Physical Science. She's finishing up Biology with a lab. She'll do Astronomy, and then she has Ancient World History, Medieval History, U.S. Government, U.S. History, Swimming, Nutrition, Arts and Crafts, Typing, Sign Language, Economics, Home Ec, Church History, Art Appreciation, Music Appreciation, and a Geography. So, and she may have more after that. We'll see. But that is the path that she is on. And these electives reflect her interests, and then they also reflect things that I require. So that's how I do that. And her focus right now is to finish those electives so that all she has left are the morning time, the history, the literature, the geography that goes with our morning time. And so she won't have as much to do in a day. She already has a job. She has her driver's license. She's kind of planning at this point to not go to college. She wants to start her own business. And so that is the direction that she is headed. So she is kind of raring to go with, getting these things knocked out and being done with high school. So at this point, she's really just doing the time, which is kind of what you end up doing when you get to the end of your high school years, unless you're behind and then you're, trying to get everything in. But she is really at this point just doing the things that are left, and those just take time. Now, for my 15-year-old, almost 16-year-old, who is a sophomore, he also has an index card. Little backstory on him. He was nonverbal. Well, he didn't say words. He made a lot of sounds. didn't say words until he was about 4. And he did not speak clearly until he was between 7 and 8. And we just worked with him. We took him in to check his hearing. We checked all kinds of things. Everything was fine. They told us to just wait. I did work with him with some speech class things that I had learned through my degree. And eventually, you can't even tell now that he had any sort of speech issues as a small child. But because of the speech issues, we didn't start him in school as soon as we maybe would have if he were speaking. The funny thing is, when we started phonics with him, he almost immediately started getting better with his speech patterns. So it was almost like the phonics helped him to form the words correctly, and he became much more easily understood through those classes. So for him, I hate to say behind, he's a little bit behind. He's struggled a little bit here and there, but he is very, very good at the things he is very, very good at. He's more like me. He's a little more artsy. Math, not his forte. It's not my forte. I don't enjoy it. It's a little difficult for me to wrap my brain around. But for him, the things that he enjoys are writing stories. He likes the filmmaking. He's just a little more on the artsy side. And so his classes are going to reflect that. I'm probably going to have him take a filmmaking class for an elective through Compass Classroom. He is going to take the consumer math class. He's not sure at this point if he wants to go into college or not. He does have a huge interest in history, particularly medieval history and World War II history. So he may go to college for something along the historical lines. We're just not sure at this point. He's done a lot of creative writing. He is going to have to take like economics, because I make everybody take economics. And then he has basically all of the same class requirements that his sister has. He's just a couple of years behind her. And if he doesn't graduate right at 18 or right shortly after he's 18, that's okay. We've had some children that have had to take a little bit longer on into the summer and the early fall because of moves, where we were moving to another state. And, it just took some time to get back into the swing of things. And so they had to take a little bit more time. We don't do a corporate homeschool graduation ceremony. We just do a private get together with friends and family. And so it doesn't really matter when they graduate. And it doesn't really matter when they get into college. That kind of stuff is very arbitrary. We have created this idea that you have to finish at 18 and you have to go to college that first fall semester after you turn 18, and those things are just arbitrary. They really are not necessarily the best way to do things for every single child. I have known lots and lots of people who needed to take a little bit of time off, and then when they got to college, they just knocked it out. And that was because it gave them some time to mature and to figure out what they really wanted to do. So we're going to give him time to explore the different things that he's interested in and keep working through his classes and mastering those things. I'm not interested in just pushing my kids through school. I want them to master the subjects. I want them to feel like they understand the subjects, and then we can move on to the next thing. Okay, my next child is a 7th grader, and he is just getting to the place where we are adding in more classes to his independent schoolwork. And so he's getting used to that idea that as a kid in junior high, you're gonna have a little more to do than you used to. We still have the morning time, but then he has added on, like he just finished a graphic design class, and we're gonna be adding in some more things along those lines, things that are part of his interests. I want to spark those interests. I want to spark those passions. I want to help him to move forward in the things that he is interested in. And the 5th grader, same concept. He's actually starting the same graphic design class that his brother just finished because he's interested in that same thing. He's also very interested in animals, and so we're making sure that his science and his math are up to par and continuing. He excels in those classes, and so we want to make sure that he's being challenged and he's pushing forward because potentially veterinarian school may be on his horizon. So we want to make sure that he is prepared. And I know 5th grade is way young to be thinking about that, but he is quite passionate about animals and helping animals, and he knows a lot already about animals. So we'll see what this does, but I do want to make sure that we are challenging him with his math and science as he goes. And then I have a 3rd grader. Yes, I have a 3rd grader. He is very hands-on. He is in that in-between age where he still likes all the projects that his little sisters do, but he also wants to do the big kid stuff. So he's sort of in this in-between place where he comes and does little kid school with us, and then he also participates in big kid school. And I imagine as this year progresses, he's going to be doing less and less. But I have noticed that as he's had more independent schoolwork on his own and less hands-on with me, that he actually craves spending time with me. So he'll come and want me to read to him. He'll come and want to cuddle. He'll want to talk. He'll want to take a walk with me. So I want to make sure that throughout this year, I'm nurturing him as he's becoming more and more independent. And then I have my 2 little girls. They are 1st grade and kindergarten, and they are different as night and day. My 1st grader is very bubbly. She's very projects oriented. She's very hands-on. She's excited about everything. Everything is fun and wonderful. My kindergartner is serious, to the point, smart as a whip, and likes lots and lots and lots of information. She likes her projects too, and she enjoys those things, but she is like a little sponge, just soaking up everything around her, and she needs to be challenged quite frequently. She just needs more and more and more information, whereas my 1st grader is happy just giving her some craft supplies and letting her go to town because she just enjoys life. And so she's very, very bubbly, and she has had a few struggles educationally, but we're kind of getting over that. For a while, it took us a while to understand numbers and phonics and those concepts, but now she is really doing quite well. She just turned 7, and I feel like we're kind of over that hump where she is focused and understanding those concepts a lot better than she did in kindergarten. Okay, so that is everybody I have left in my homeschool. Now to talk a little bit about my homeschool overarching goals. We are going to continue with Tapestry of Grace as our spine curriculum. This curriculum allows me to pick and choose from the pieces that I want, and most of all, it has fantastic historical ideas and resources and all of that. That is what I am most interested in. So our homeschool is very focused on history. And it also has the literature components, the geography components, and then I pull in fine arts and the music and the art and all of that. I want to continue to do that. Basically, I'm really happy with the way things went last year. So I want to continue that progression. We are currently just in colonial America, getting very close to the Revolutionary War. That's where we are picking up after our holiday break, and we'll be moving forward from there. I do plan to continue doing art lessons from You Are an Artist Chalk. That has been the best art program that everybody can participate in and everybody enjoys it. So we're going to continue with that. Music in our homeschool, huge part of our homeschooling. Gina, who runs music in our homeschool, actually uses Tapestry of Grace as well. So a lot of the program is intertwined with lessons from Tapestry of Grace so that it's very easy for me to pick and choose what I want. We meet together for morning time, and that's when we do our history. We do our fine arts during that time, and usually on Thursdays we'll do an art lesson. And You Are an Artist has a lot of educational art lessons that match a lot of things, because I also think Trisha, who is the owner of You Are an Artist, also uses Tapestry of Grace. So it works really well for us, but you don't have to use Tapestry of Grace to use these resources because they work well with all kinds of curricula. You can almost always find a lesson in You Are an Artist or Music in Our Homeschool that goes along with what you're learning. It is fantastic resources. And then I am actually going to be changing gears with Bible. This is going to be a big step for us. Morning time, we start with Bible time. However, this year we're going to try something different. And I would love to hear from those of you who are using this curriculum. It's from Not Consumed. I have known Kim from Not Consumed for many, many, many years. I've never used her curricula, her Bible studies. So I am excited to try this. But how this works, and this is her goal and how she envisions Bible study time. She believes that it is very, very important for your children to have their own time of devotion and Bible study. And I agree with that. And our older kids do. But when she does her curricula, she has a parent guide. And this is the one we're going to be using. Sorry, the plastic is on there still. This is the parent guide. And this is where like the main questions and everything will be, but every single child is going to have their own. So this is junior. I don't know if you can see that there. This is junior. Same lessons, except done age appropriately. There's a youth, and then I also have a primary for the little girls, and everybody has their own book. They come with these absolutely adorable stickers. I mean, those are so cute. She maybe sold me with the stickers. And then they also come with a button. And, it's just for kids who like to collect buttons. She's got that. Now, I also bought a second Bible study. So I'm really hoping this goes well. But my idea behind this, and if this goes well, I will do a review, I promise. If this goes well, basically what I'm thinking it will look like is that I will work with the little girls, and then we will come together every morning and talk about what each of the kids have been doing in their private Bible study time using these books. So they will add this to their independent schoolwork, and then the next day will be when we talk about the previous day's lessons that they went over. And we'll just kind of keep doing that. What we have been doing in the past, we've done several different programs, but we've always done them together. So we've used Grapevine, where we did stick figures through the Bible. We did Picture Smart Bible, where we drew and colored through the Bible. We have done, what else? Lots and lots of different things. And we have really enjoyed them all, but they have always been done together as a family at morning time. This is still going to be a together thing, but it's going to be a little different, and I'm going to have to wrap my brain around it. So pray for me. Hopefully it goes very smoothly, but that is what we are doing. And like I said, I would love to hear from those of you who are doing something like this with your large family, so that I can kind of learn from you. That would be great. And then finally, we will be continuing with lessons from the Peaceful Press curricula. They have several different ones. Eventually, we will be in the Playful Pioneers, which is the only one besides the guides that we have not done. You can find reviews, I believe, of The Kind Kingdom and The Precious People, maybe. I'll link them below. And I think also the Peaceful Preschool is on here, but I'll link them below, or I'll put them up there, and you can see the reviews. We have really, really enjoyed this curricula, and so we are going to be continuing with that, particularly for the little girls. I am looking forward to getting into the Pioneer days. There's so many things I want to do with the little girls in particular, and that my older kids enjoyed when they were that age. So I'm really looking forward to that, but we've got about 100 years in our homes, in our lessons before we get there. So we'll see how long that takes, but we are going to continue to do the Peaceful Press, and anything else that pops up that is on my radar that I'm like, you know what, I'd like to add that in. Maybe that would be a good elective. We have several things through Compass Classroom that we're going to be adding in for the older kids. And so in many ways, this homeschool year is going to be very similar to last homeschool year. Now that is where I want to talk to you a little bit about you making goals. First of all, I would love for you to check out my e-course, How to Creating a Homeschool Schedule You Love. This class is now discounted by half. So go check that out. The link is in the description, but it will teach you how to create a homeschool schedule you can stick to, one that you love, one that will adapt with you as things change in your homeschool, and it won't bog you down. It will help you to make a good rhythm, a good routine that works with you rather than against you. And that's what you need in your homeschool. You, as the mother and primary teacher, need to be enjoying the homeschool process. This rubs off on your kids. They can tell whether or not mom is enjoying the lessons and enjoying the teaching, enjoying the curriculum that she's using. If you're not enjoying it, if you're not on board with it, you've got to stop pushing through that. So I'd encourage you to check out that class and learn how to choose curriculum and how to create a schedule that works very well with the way that your brain works. And then it's very important that you look at past homeschool experiences that you've had, maybe 1, 2, 3 years, and think about the memories that were made and the things that stood out to you. And those are the things that you really want to consider bringing back into your homeschooling experience this year. What were those things? Was your life a little slower? Were you doing more projects? Were you doing less projects? Were you going fewer places, or were you part of a co-op? What homeschooling experiences have been really good for you as a mother? Not your kids, you. Start there, because you can be knocking yourself out, creating all these homeschool experiences for your kids, but being exhausted and worn out yourself is not going to create a good homeschooling experience for anybody. So you need to start with what you have enjoyed about the homeschooling experience in the last year, 2, 3 years. What are the things that have stood out to you as being great memories, great parts of your homeschooling experience, times when you just felt like, looking back, you were knocking it out of the park? Bring those things into the 2022 school year. And then look at things from your child's perspective. You can even sit down with them and talk to them about what are some things that you have really enjoyed over the years. And let's see how we can incorporate those. And if some of those are things that stress you out as a mother and homeschool teacher, then consider how you can tweak those so they don't stress you out anymore and you can still incorporate them. Or if you need to just scrap them all together and tell your kids, listen, that is just not something that I can do at this season in my life, but perhaps we can revisit it next year. So as you can see, my homeschool goals and my homeschool plans are pretty simplified, and they're pretty much day to day, and they just have this rhythm and routine to them. And then a couple of months later, I will check again. I will see if I need to revisit these things, revamp, change things around, if we're still on the right track. And that is really all I do to do goal planning and goal setting for our homeschool and for my individual children. It's a process, and it just takes time, and it just takes one step in front of the next. And then when those circumstances change, when you've got roadblocks, when things are difficult, or you've had a new thing happen in your life, you don't completely fall apart because you haven't looked years ahead or an entire year ahead. You've just looked a few weeks ahead, a month ahead. You're just slow and steady. And that's how you win this homeschool race, is slow and steady. All right, friends, I hope that has helped you come up with some ideas for goal setting and homeschool planning this coming year in your homeschool. And don't forget to check out raisingarrows.net for all of your large family homeschooling and homemaking needs. We will see you next time.